Dr. Irina Rozenfeld. Dr. Rozenfeld holds a doctoral degree from the University of North Florida. She is a certified clinical research professional. Dr. Rozenfeld has worked in various capacities in clinical research, from clinical research nurse to principal investigator, and currently is conducting clinical trials. Dr. Rozenfeld is also an adjunct faculty member at Nova Southeastern University. Dr. Rozenfeld has an impressive educational background, having obtained a master's in nursing, a postmaster's graduate certificate in education from Florida International University, a master's in science and integrative medicine from George Washington University, a doctor of nursing practice from the University of North Florida, and as of yesterday, a master's of business administration from Nova Southeastern University, so an underachiever. Dr. Rozenfeld's expertise within the Institute for Neuro-Immune Medicine is focused on treating a wide range of conditions, including myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic infections, vector-borne illnesses, metabolic syndrome, chronic pain, environmental issues, detoxification, and autoimmune disease. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Rozenfeld.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so happy that my presentation followed Dr. Theoharidis. He has scientific approach to nutrition and nutraceuticals, so my work is a little bit easy. I have disclosures. I'm gonna talk about nutraceuticals. I don't have no potential conflict of interest. And I also wanna make this disclaimer that presentation contains educational material and it's not intended to take any recommendation other than you will discuss with your physician, and it's not to be mean diagnostic or treatment. And there is a variety of supplements. We call it supplements, herbals, nutraceuticals, omega-3 oils, functional foods, medical foods. There is a big market. Actually, it's a really expensive market. It's a multi-billion market. There is many different supplements out there. And it's really important that we practice evidence-based medicine. We using it, and you can read my learning objectives, but my main objective today for the people who is on a Zoom and listen us from the worldwide world, I want, as a nurse, I want to be your advocate and say, take this information and go discuss it with your clinician. Ask the question why you need to use it. For clinicians who are here, the supplements what I mentioned, molecular what I mentioned, and researcher, clinician and researchers, I want you to take time and pay attention and study with us and see what it does to the body and how we can use it. All right, and so we are talking about patient and clinicians, researchers, and I move on with nutrition and pharmaceuticals. It was coined, their term was coined by Dr. De Felice. He was a chairman of Foundation for Innovation of Medicine. So nutraceuticals as a marketing term. It was kind of intended for sales and for prevent disease and maybe sometimes for treat disease. FDA in this country, FDA does approve particular nutraceuticals, which call medical food. That's a food which is formulated specifically to treat particular disease. It's by prescription and administered under physician supervisor. There's only one which is not sold over the counter. And here this is topic of my presentation, evidence-based clinical practice. Our evidence-based clinical practice comes from our clinical expertise and a patient preference and research evidence. And when we marry all of this, we're practically addressing this whole person health We also call it whole body medicine. And I want to share my colleague, Dr. George, allegory, how to describe this whole body medicine. I wrote here about your biological, you have to behavioral, social, environmental aspects when you treat patient. If you take tree plant and you put tree plants in experiment situation and you're gonna give one plant water and another plant you're gonna give light and the third plant you're gonna give fertilizer. In 3 days, all 3 plants gonna die. And I kind of, it's really fits their whole body medicine. And when we need really talk and really plan using medication, supplement, nutrition, all together to get the results. I think you will agree. So for patient and for practitioner, at the same time, this is material where we looking up. Where do we look up for appropriate information about nutraceuticals? The NCCIH stands for National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. We do have publication on our website and the Medline Plus with this publication. Consumerlab.com, it's a website. There is some free information there, but there is also information you can become a member and get more deep information about all nutraceuticals. There's many, probably I use these two, I think very helpful and very free. The About Herbs app, which is by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and Herbs app, it's national, again, from National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. There is a very professional database. It's called Natural Medicine, NatMed Pro, through university who has access to university lab libraries. It's usually available. You also can subscribe. That database, NatMed database, provide effectiveness checker. It's provide induced deficiencies. There is such things like drug-induced deficiency, adverse events, and it's an interaction checker. It's a good one. And of course, for free, you can go on a PubChem, the National Library of Medicine website, which provide any substance you type in, and it gives you really good article and all instructions about this herb or chemical. And FDA, so in some countries, there nutraceuticals, vitamins, medical foods, they all goes through more strict regulation. In the United States, FDA doesn't require, there is a particular laws and regulation, but FDA does not require the same gold standard placebo control for phase clinical trials for supplements. And the Federal Trade Commission mostly looking for false claims related to, and some they provide alerts and advisories after product already hit the market. I went on the website absolutely just a couple days before presentation, and I pulled this product. It was first product was recalled in April. It's called Funny Schwing, and it's described very main proprietary formula, and it has it's supposed to have herbs like ginkgo biloba and ginseng root extract, but in reality, it's pulled worldwide, pulled from the market because it's contain prescriptive medication, something like Viagra. But I almost finished with rules and regulation. Not everything's so bad. And actually, there is a big number of very respectful and responsible nutraceutical companies, nutrition company, pharmaceutical company who pay attention to small vitamin companies, small herbal farms who pay attention what we produce. We do a lot of testing, a lot of herbs we get in, we actually go through some, we prescribe already standardized extracts, which we know how much exactly. It's not like old way it was herbs like a tea or tincture. Right now we prescribe herbs as a capsules, and sometimes we really know how much an extract is standardized because it has particular work already done on these nutraceutical companies. And we do microbiological testing. We test it for allergies, for allergens. We tested for heavy metals. We tested it for stability, for pesticides residue, and even DNA testing. And some herbal supplement we have to provide DNA testing. Oh my God! I'm sorry. I was just covered. So now I want to talk about interesting stuff. When I'm clinician, I'm researcher, but I'm mostly clinician. And my goal is to help patients to alleviate as many symptoms as possible. And probably we don't cure ME/CFS, but we can help patients to live more productive, more healthy, more normal life. There is, if you can see on the right on that picture, practically the symptoms come from dysfunction in almost in each body system. And multiple causes related to that. We know that there is immune system problem and maybe genetic predisposition, since environmental exposure, of course, infections and stress and hormonal imbalance, and possibly more. And before we move to the next, there was a question today about why a medication works for one patient and doesn't work for another patient. Everything the same like medication, and the same happen with nutraceuticals. Some patients have really good effect for some, and for another it doesn't work. Any substance we take, it goes through, there is a pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. So the substance has to, we have to absorb, digest, metabolize, and eliminate from the body. And then that substance would got to the body does something with it, and we have an effect of this medication on different clinical sites wherever we're trying to address. We all different. We have different genetic predisposition, genetic makeup, and we process medication differently. This is why we actually, for some patients with high blood pressure, we prescribe ACE inhibitors, for other calcium channel blockers. We have different genetic predisposition, and we treat patients with different drugs, and it's applicable to nutraceuticals. And now I'm going to fun part. I did not hear Dr. Teoharadi's speech, but I put lithiolin on the top. It just happening. It's just happening. Flavonoids is a part of the big group of the polyphenols, the same like a chocolate is there, and their product resveratrol, which made from wine. I put flavonoids because particularly in ECFS and post-COVID, we found a lot of application for quercetin or for luteolin. These nutraceuticals help us to treat allergies. It helps us to control some post-COVID symptoms, we prefer use it before vaccination. And because this particular supplement we're not so much antioxidant, but very anti-inflammatory, very proven in studies, as Dr. Teoharidis mentioned, to decrease pro-inflammatory cytokines. The food, it's all colorful fruits, always dark berries, and you cannot overdose on berries, I think. This is a good part, right? So now I wanna, this is more new molecules, and it's not a new substance. 30 years ago, nitric oxide was seen that it's a caustic and dangerous gas. But then it was so much research done on nitric oxide. There is three researchers got 20 years ago Nobel Prize in physiology and medicine for this molecule, but research actually accumulated. And for what we know about ME/CFS, that there is problem with the blood flow, there is endothelial dysfunction, and there is problem with microcirculation. And nitric oxide practically responsible molecule in all chronic illnesses like atherosclerosis, diabetes, any chronic illness, any way you take, the nitric oxide effects are responsible. And nitric oxide, it's a very short-living molecule, practically second, and its production when through the food or through the medication, there is a process how it's get to the site of action in the body, and it goes through the steps from nitrate to nitrate and then to nitric oxide. There is a special pathway which starts when you chew on vegetables. And when it's supposed, you have to chew it in the mouth, and there is particular enzymes which transfer from nitrate to nitrate. And then in the body, and there is in the presence of acid in your stomach, it's turned to nitric oxide. The molecular nitric oxide is studied and proved to be very important for exercise performance and for peripheral artery diseases and heart failure. It affects vasculature. So it's possible that this molecule may be very, very helpful. And this is, I'm more looking for researchers to study how it can help our patient, because if you evaluate physiological effects of nitric oxide, it's improve exercise performance, it's improve cognitive function, and it's improve immunity, and it's contribute to reduction of oxidative stress. This is why there is a lot of already published information, but I think this is interesting for us to study. This one, just one most recent, that it's also really good neurotransmitter. We start using this whole, I'm not naming for nitric oxides out of vegetables. It's a green vegetables, and the beets are very heavy on nitric oxide precursor. There is a next group, it's endothelial glycocalyx, regulating nutrients. So glycocalyx, this is the carbohydrates attaching to proteins, lining inside the blood vessels, where we're lining on the top of endothelial cells. Endothelial cells, we're making blood vessel. And inside of lumen of blood vessels, there is this glycocalyx. It can be thick, it can be tiny. If it's tiny, it's usually disease process. When it's thicker, it's better. And this glycocalyx, it's a very delicate structure, but it healthy glycocalyx prevents blood particles from attachment to touching endothelial layer, and its special nutrients help to keep blood vessel healthy. This is there is a different supplements. I just put this as beautiful picture. It's made out of seaweed-based polysaccharide source. And so, in some research studies, they really working together, nitric oxide supplements together with glycocalyx regulating product. So, and now my favorite part, because I kind of sometimes start with a patient, always with talking about stool test. We like to order very, very detailed, comprehensive stool panels because we understand how much intestinal permeability, or sometimes people come and say, I have SIBO, I have leaky gut, and I just have a lot of problem with my gastrointestinal system. I have irritable bowel syndrome. And some patient in the ME/CFS word patient will have comorbidity like irritable bowel syndrome or inflammatory bowel diseases. There any intestinal, there is a saying, think with your gut, there is enteric nervous system, and a gut-brain axis described in multiple research and publication. Everything what happen in the gut has some physiological effect on another body parts, and we see pathology how it's related to one another. Oh. How it's related to anybody. In particular, we like to talk about brain and gut axis. And at this point, we talk about probiotics, but there is also prebiotics and postbiotics already. I want to mention the important, when we do in our very intense study and look for, we have ability to look inflammatory state in the gut and look if there is any bacteria, microbiome friendly or microbiome unfriendly. The more diversity, the better. And how to improve diversity, we do prescribe probiotic, but it's not an answer. The probiotic, increasing number of microbes, it's not much as important as to provide those microbiome appropriate nutrition. When I say prebiotics, I'm talking about special fibers which are preferable for the microbiome to grow. There is a special bacteria right now. This is Akkermansia, very favorite. Very low numbers of Akkermansia in patients with metabolic syndrome, with obesity. I kind of can speculate, I see it in results that in our patients it's very often low, but it's maybe because we also sometimes have metabolic syndrome. That supplementation with Akkermansia is not necessary to do everything. It must be prebiotic, which short chain, the bacteria which produce short chain fatty acids and butyrate, which helping the bacteria to grow and diversify microbiome. Easy way I recommend use different fruits and vegetables. Go explore to any ethnic stores and buy fruits and vegetables which you don't usually eat. And you may don't know what's the name of that fruit, but you will diversify your microbiome. And in microbiome world, diversification is really healthy. So that while we're talking about gut, I want to mention these bovine serum-derived immunoglobulins. There's different products on the market. This particular, but it's a medical food and by prescription only. We have a really good results. And I mentioned this one particular, that recent publication I just found before presentation, that they show it's also help to remove aflatoxin, which is the mycotoxin, but it also help to keep bind pathogenic microbes microbial components and remove. It's very helpful for patients with inflammatory bowel disease, with IBS, with diarrhea. It's really help control with diarrhea symptoms. Another product, it's called sulforaphane, and their sulforaphane came made out of glucorophane. So practically it's made out of brassica, broccoli, and all the cauliflowers. I look up on clinicaltrials.gov, another resource for everyone. If you're looking for something, clinicaltrials.gov have registered clinical trials on many different things. And this is another example that nutraceuticals are studied very well. There is 100 as of yesterday, there is 180 clinical trials on broccoli, and there is 95 on sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is practically the product what made out of broccoli, and with sulforaphane able to go to inside the cell and promoting excretion out of the cell metabolic metabolites, results of body function, and eliminated out of the body toxins. This is one of the examples of this product. Resolvins, another molecule, it's made out of fish oil. It's not straightforward fish oil. This is mediators, it's called specialized pro-resolving mediators, SPM. We do produce them in our body, but sometimes it's not enough, and body has so many hits from not metabolic process and the diet and lifestyle and the environmental exposure. So we may need to add SPMs, and they come from nutraceutical sources. When we prescribe natural medicine, there is sometimes it's just a diet, and a clean diet. You can start in a clean diet. It's already natural medicine. But we prescribe vitamins, we prescribe supplements, and sometimes synergistically we have like an additive effect. And when we put together, for example, magnesium and vitamin B6, together we work much stronger than each separately. Or we can prescribe smaller doses, and at smaller doses together it will work. So this particular product we use in a patient with high homocysteine, which is for cardiovascular disease, and also with a patient who have MTHFR mutation and have problem with folate and B12. Results of this problem, we have DNA problem in establishing DNA. So that product created by psychiatrist, and he is treating depression, but combination of these minerals and vitamins and phospholipid supplements and CoQ10, and this particular combination, one capsule demonstrates really nice additive and synergistic effect, and can help. In our practice, we use it mostly for control homocysteine. Did it again, sorry. That for 2 years we did here presentation on a chronic fatigue conference, and our colleague Dr. Kaufman, he was conducting these trials. Unfortunately, this study was not placebo controlled, but was open label. But in dose-dependent format, so 22% of at a dose of 500 milligram, 22% of patient demonstrates report decrease on fatigue, and it went up to 33% with dependent on a dose. So oxaloacetate, it's a molecule which participate in it's a part of metabolic pathway. And we know that production of energy possible problem in chronic fatigue syndrome. So we hoping we're going to see more studies, and we have some application based on a previous study for this. And of course, I cannot stop talking about evidence-based use of nutraceutical without talking about genomics. So the environment affect us, and we affect our environment. The food what we eat actually make a lot of on how our genes perform. If we eat particular food, despite that our genetic predispositions, the gene expression can change. And this is really important because gene expression is epigenetic, and gene expression responsible for production for particular proteins in the body and function of particular body systems. So the study of genomics and evaluation of your predisposition and your personalized kind of medicine approach may help us to decide which processes need support, and in which particular case we need to add vitamins or some another or nutrients or proteins or phospholipids. This is very, very personalized. I think some of you may already experience that, and it's sometimes feeling very, very like forensic, that you learn your own blueprint and you can predict and you can address something what you can read from your genetic predisposition. And I want to finish really fast. So it's important what you eat, and it's important how it's cooked. And it's very colorful, but you can read it yourself. So interestingly, tomatoes should be cooked. And if they cooked, they release more phytonutrient lycopene, which is really help reduce cancer risk. And for spinach, it also needs to be cooked, and because it helps to digest more calcium. And carrots also needs to be cooked, and preferably with oil, because whatever substance you want to get from carrots, it needs to be fat soluble. But mushroom needs to be cooked too. And red pepper can be fresh and raw. I thought it's very, very cute and very good information to know. And this is my reference. I can talk very long about that. Okay. Thank you.